Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we uncover the secrets of corporate filings, and today we're digging into some transactions that sound a bit like a puzzle. Alright, let's dive into what KKR FS Income Trust has been up to. This is a look at their recent activities focusing on share sales and important financial figures. First off, KKR FS Income Trust, or the company as they call themselves here, announced some stock sales. On the 3rd of November, they issued and sold a little over 892,000 shares of their Class I shares. Now, the final count of these shares wasn't even locked in until the 21st of November, which is interesting. They raised about $26.6 million from these sales. This was part of their ongoing private offering, and they're counting on an exemption from the usual registration rules for selling stock, specifically Sections 4(2) and Regulation D. They're essentially saying that the people buying these shares are considered accredited investors, meaning they meet certain income or net worth requirements. So they are deemed knowledgeable enough to invest without all the standard protections. This section basically tells us that they sold shares without going through the full public registration process. They're relying on specific exemptions designed for private placements to sophisticated investors. It is a common practice for investment trusts like this to raise capital from a select group of investors rather than the general public. Now, let's talk about the value of their holdings. As of the 31st of October 2025, the net asset value, which is like the company's total worth minus its debts, for each Class I share was $29.82. This is a key figure because it tells you what the underlying assets are worth on a per share basis. By the 3rd of November, the company's total net asset value reached a substantial $1.464 billion. That is a big number, signifying the overall scale of their investments. Looking at their offering status, they're continuously selling shares in this private offering, aiming for up to $5 billion. As of the date of this report, they've already issued close to 49.5 million Class I shares, bringing in approximately $1.453 billion. This doesn't even include any shares bought back through their dividend reinvestment plan. If they have one, they plan to keep selling shares monthly. So this private offering is an active, ongoing part of their capital raising strategy. And for those who like the nitty-gritty, they've included the standard exhibit, including an interactive data file for the cover page. Now, let's put on our Warren Buffett hat and look at the bigger picture here. KKR FS Income Trust is operating in the private offering space, which means they're attracting investors who aren't everyday stock market participants, but rather institutions or wealthy individuals who can handle the less regulated nature of these deals. The fact that they're raising substantial capital, over $1.4 billion already in this offering, shows there is a strong demand for what they're offering, and investors trust their management to deploy that capital effectively. The consistent monthly sales suggest a steady flow of new money coming in, which can be a good sign for continued growth and stability. However, we also need to consider the inherent risks. Relying on private placements and exemptions means less transparency compared to publicly traded companies. Investors need to do their own thorough due diligence as the protections afforded to public investors are not as robust. The net asset value per share is a critical metric for these types of trusts. A stable or growing NAV indicates that the underlying investments are performing well. The fact that the NAV per share for Class I shares is $29.82 on the 31st of October, and we see a significant total NAV reflects the value they've built. We'd want to see how this NAV evolves over time to truly assess their investment performance. Looking ahead, the company's strategy seems to be focused on steadily growing its asset base through this continuous private offering. The success of this strategy hinges on their ability to consistently find and manage profitable investments with the new capital they are bringing in. A key risk is market volatility, which can impact the value of their holdings and consequently their net asset value. Also, regulatory changes could affect private placement exemptions. In conclusion, KKR FS Income Trust appears to be successfully executing its private offering strategy, attracting significant capital from accredited investors. Their focus is on growing their asset base. And the reported net asset values present a picture of substantial underlying value. The main strength is their ability to draw in significant funds through private channels, suggesting strong investor confidence. A potential weakness or risk is the inherent lack of public transparency in private offerings, meaning investors should be extra diligent. The company's direction is clearly towards continued growth via sustained capital inflows from these private placements. Alright, that is our breakdown of KKR FS Income Trust's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments if this analysis was valuable. Hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description for more exclusive content. Thanks for watching. See you next time.